Hey everybody, it's Charlie again, here today in collaboration with Paradox Interactive to show you a basic beginning to building out your own sandbox prison to meet the starting demands of your inmates. Now obviously, I'm going to start by saying all of the placement and design decisions in this video are to my own style and not something that you have to follow, as this game gives you great flexibility and control over how your prison is designed. But the room and object choices are something that will closely mimic your game when you start as well. So we're going to go through the basics now. Let's begin. The first decision needs to be made before we even lay a brick. Where are we going to set up our prison? There are a variety of maps to choose from, and these will not only change the atmosphere around your facility, but also can influence the design that you go for, as there are different configurations of available expansions, as well as sometimes even having a chance to build on the opposite side of the main road. I'll just pick this one here for now. I'll hit next, which will give me any warden or dog design options available to me, as well as allowing me to customize my start how I want. Then, in the final setup tab is mutators, which are modifications to the balance of the game experience, which are either helpful to the player or can create a new challenge. Whatever you choose to enable here can be disabled later if you like, just as easily. Just note that achievements are turned off when you enable mutators at the start of your prison. For the sake of this video, I'm going to use instant build and teardown for the initial setup of this prison, just to keep things tight on time, because I have a lot to cover and not a lot of time to do it. So the prison plot we have before us starts like this and has an intake, deliveries, and garbage zones already placed. I'm going to head to the construction tab and within the rooms assign an export zone as well, so that my workers immediately have a place to put anything that we want to sell as we tear things down. So as I said, design is kind of whatever you want it to be, but I'm going to quickly build a couple of structures to get the ball rolling like this. And then I'm going to add new fencing to create a sort of security gap setup to manage security a little bit easier in the beginning, as well as create some friction between what's outside and inside the prison. None of these doors need to be locked up tight until prisoners show up. So as we build, these gates won't slow down construction at all. I'll also build a utility room off to the right side over here as well, and then place the power station and water pumping station into this room. These utility providers are really powerful and can handle very large prisons before needing to be expanded. So all we really need to worry about for many hours is just expanding the cables and pipes to fit the needs. So in the big building here, I'm going to set up my first cell block. Cells need to be at least 4x3, so we'll space it out like this. We'll need to furnish the cells so that they're valid. That means a bed and a toilet. Later on, if we want to improve the morale of the prison population, we'll be able to add things to these cells if there's room. I'll make sure utilities and pipes are ran through to connect correctly, and then shift my focus to the second building. Remember, a more detailed breakdown of these rooms and objects being placed and all that stuff has been shared in past videos on this channel about Prison Architect 2. So be sure to get subscribed and browse around the recent videos here to learn more about specific topics that you want covered better. So this area is my canteen, which is where people will eat. I'll add sufficient seating for short-term expansion capacity, and then I'll add a serving table, which can serve up to 30 inmates. If I ever need to feed more than 30 inmates at a time, I'll have to add a second one, so be sure to plan out your rooms for the future and not just the present. In the corner here, a small kitchen, which requires fridges, cookers, prep tables, as well as a wide sink for washing the dishes. This is again one of those things where planning ahead is a good idea, and you may opt to build your rooms a little bit larger in preparation for expansion in the future, or my preference anyways is to build small rooms now, but with plenty of room outside that building to expand it later on. That saves you money now, especially since upgrades in the bureaucracy tab will permit things to get cheaper later. So I got the basics in place. A cell block, which you should build with at least 10 cells so that you can get the XP from it later. We'll look at that in a second. A canteen, a kitchen, and a utility room to serve water and power. Now, let's talk about the admin staff, which are essential to progress the game after a certain point. These egg-headed pencil pushers require cozy offices to be useful to us, so I'll give them an office building over here to the side with access from outside the prison. Again, that sort of thing is totally optional. You can do it however you want to do it. Just as long as the room is valid and you are able to assign staff to them, you aren't doing it wrong. So for an office to be valid, it just needs an office desk and a filing cabinet with at least a 4x3 room. Yes, that means the admin staff get rooms no larger than a prison cell. Isn't that neat? I like to give the warden a 4x4 though, just so he has some bragging rights. Supposedly he's earned it. Offices are done. Let's assess the list on the left and see if we missed anything. Holding and showers, haha, of course. Now the holding cell is a relatively large cell that holds inmates that have just come into the prison but cannot be assigned to a cell yet. Most likely that's because we don't have any spare cells at the time, or they just aren't reachable for some reason. Unlike regular cells, holding cells do not require beds, just benches to sit on. Now, in my own prisons, I tend to put a few bunk beds in here, as well as some showers directly in the cell, so that prisoners have their needs met. But I also don't have much use for holding cells anyway, since I have total control over how many inmates come into my prison, so I'm not going to take in more than I have cells available for, usually, but to each his own. Regardless, that one's pretty easy and out of the way, so let's talk about showers. In the beginning, you can get away with delegating a simple space in a common area like this and placing showers on the wall. As your prison grows, you may want to think about designating a larger shower area to accommodate more prisoners on schedules. But if you're like me, you don't bother with any of that anyways, because eventually I spend the money to provide showers directly in prisoner cells. Perhaps not right away, which is why I'm showing you this way for now, but over time, as the prison grows and I have more money and more dangerous people, I prefer them to treating their needs separately rather than bunched up together. This gives them privacy in their cell, which helps that need, as well as allows them to deal with their hygiene during their own time as they need it, many times in free time slots, as well as when they're locked in their cell. I find it makes things smoother in operating larger facilities, but it is definitely more expensive to do that, so I guess I can recommend starting like this and then moving towards showers and cells if you prefer later on when you have more cash. So now that we've set up all the stuff on the map, let's visit the administration menu and find that we have earned a bunch of experience for all the things that we've done so far. And that can be used to unlock new staff, rooms, and objects in the bureaucracy tab. Click through all the XP earned so far and complete all these missions, and then head to that tab to reveal 4 distinct choices, which we have covered more in depth in previous videos on this channel. I personally recommend starting with infrastructure right away and getting speed build, as this is going to improve your experience playing the game by having things built faster. After we've chosen our category, in my case infrastructure, we can then hire a new administrator from this category, in my case the foreman. They'll need an office, which is why I've built some spare offices, and we'll build 2 more before the end of this video. Remember to now also grab the XP reward for hiring the foreman, or your choice of administrator, and giving them an office. And you may now have earned another point to spend, which I now recommend going with big business from here. This category grants us the accountant, which actually earns XP passively in their office for you, so the sooner that you get this, the earlier you begin to earn free experience for doing nothing. They also, of course, can help you with your expenses, taxes, and many other matters related to money, such as cooking the books, the next perk I'm going to grab, as it raises how much money we can get for completing contracts. Arguably, you could get that first instead of the foreman and then get paid more for his quick stuff there, but the small difference between the beginning contracts isn't really worth the extra time to build, in my opinion. If I wasn't using mutators already, it would take me a lot longer to get through this, so that's why I chose to do it for this video. That's the thing though, this is an opinion. You can go any way you want from here. There is no wrong answer as long as you're getting something useful to you. All right, I think it's time to bring in the inmates. Let's click the prisoners button at the bottom and prompt inmates to arrive at the security level that you want. You'll get paid more for more dangerous prisoners, but they are also harder to handle, so you'll need more equipped staff, and probably more staff. You can get profitable with lower security levels if you keep your staff lower to coincide with a lower risk of violence and other problems. So it's late at night, prisoners are arriving in the morning. I'm gonna go ahead and build a few other things that they're gonna enjoy, but don't necessarily need on the first day. The yard. The yard is an outdoor room for recreation, exercise, and social interaction. It's a place that they love to visit, so we're definitely going to want one at least soon after they arrive. I'm going to add exercise equipment to it and benches. I'm also going to cut out a little area over here for some showers, because some prisoners will have that hygiene need when they get here and they'll want to use the showers. Later on, I could even put some fencing up here to provide privacy for that kind of thing. I mean, just for style, I guess. Room requirements don't say I need showers, but I'll add them anyway to give the inmates options, since the hygiene need is so essential to keeping them in a good mood. The morning is here and the prisoners have arrived. Let's talk about some essential security steps that you'll need to go through. Firstly, make sure your prison is secure. All the prisoners will be initially dropped off in the intake zone outside. They are immune to acting up, running away, and everything else that prisoners do that cause you headaches while they are in this intake zone. But as soon as they enter your prison, all bets are off. And if you have unlocked doors anywhere, they're gonna figure it out and they're gonna race out of this prison as soon as they see that chance. You can do these things in any order, and probably on pause so that it won't matter much which one you do first. So click the Management tab and go to Permissions. This allows you to govern who is allowed in which area. Set the areas that you never want prisoners to go as staff only. And if you're choosing to mix security levels in your prison, like having maximum, minimum, low, etc., kind of all in the same prison, you can use this tool to designate who will be staying where. The Administration tab will also have a mission for you to set up a medium security area with 10 cells. So you can assign your cell block medium for now just to get that XP, but it's up to you how you want to do it after that. Next, click the doors. Any door will do. You can also use the view windows on the right side of your screen like I've covered in a previous video, but clicking any door will still show you whether these areas are secure. If it's red, it means that that area has keyless access to outside the prison. So you need to lock down the doors to secure these areas if prisoners are going to be in that area. If a prisoner can reach a red zone without an escort at any time, they can escape. Now, locking down these areas does also create friction and movement, so guards will need to open the doors if keys are required, unless you've unlocked staff keys in the Bureaucracy tab over on the Security section. Finally, check your regime. This governs the schedule inmates will keep. You can do this by the hour and by the security level as well. It's up to you what you want to give them and when, but remember that it takes time to move to locations, and their needs don't start being met until they arrive. You may think that an hour is enough time to eat, but eventually your prison was going to get large enough to where that first hour is mostly just travel time to sit down with the food in the first place. They will not finish their meal if the clock changes regime while they are eating. All right, so the setup is mostly done. There are some things that I want to do, but I'm going to turn mutators off now to demonstrate something that can frequently happen when you're building expansions to existing buildings. When expanding existing buildings, make sure that the area around that construction site is secure, because staff and prisoners can pass through plans for doorways, meaning that even if your plan is a locked door to be there, it isn't there yet. It's an open space for now. Secondly, be sure that the opposite is also true, that you don't just expand the building and not have a doorway available for staff to pass through, because they'll get stuck, unable to leave. Workers like to build walls and floors and stuff first before everything else, so if you don't have anywhere for a door to go, it will close them inside the building area and they'll be useless until you let them out. All right, the last thing I'm going to cover, and then I'll probably let you explore things on your own. Let's discuss punishments. What to do when prisoners act up? Well, you're going to want control over two things. You want to know why they're acting up, which means getting the psychologist at an office so that you can see their needs. And you want to help prevent violence and destruction, as well as govern what sorts of punishments are dished out when it does happen. So get the security chief in their office and gain more control over where guards are placed and when. And view the punishment section of the policy tab in the administration menu to control your prison's reaction to a variety of situations. Just remember that long punishments might also withhold the satisfaction of valuable needs from inmates, in addition to deterrence. So find a balance that helps punish but not make the situation worse with that inmate in the future. Some of these actions, like murder or violence against staff, etc., might be in another tier of act from your perspective and might require even harsher response, such as throwing them in the shoe, also known as the solitary housing unit. You can create solitary cells where they can be alone with their thoughts for a while without their cell's limited comforts by making 2x2 cells like this and assigning them to solitary. Just keep in mind that their biological needs are still a thing while they're being punished. I eventually do like to place toilets and showers in solitary cells, just so at least those needs can be met while they're in there, but to each his own. So that pretty much wraps up my basic guide to starting a prison in Prison Architect 2. There's obviously a whole lot that I didn't cover in this video, and this is just the start of a much longer game. So if you have any starter tips of your own for new players or something important that you feel I missed, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Special thanks to Paradox for allowing me the opportunity to make these official videos for you all. Perhaps I'll see you around my channel sometime for some more Prison Architect. I'm Charlie. Thanks for watching. Have fun and stay safe. Bye-bye.